y'all feeling? Y'all ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm feeling funky fresh. Let's do this.
Do it.
Woo! Late ill kid at OneYoungsta, hold it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people? Today, all year, coming with another wonderful episode of What's That? That's right, on screen. We're here to talk about Lovecraft Country. If you want to talk about Lovecraft Country, you in the right place. So, we got some folks up in here. We got the regular crew, and we got someone extra special. So we look, hey, you know how we do. All right. Right here in this square right here, you may know her from such films as Avengers Endgame. You may know her as from such shows as The Wire. You may also know her as Purple Heart recipient 2002 through 2004. The one and only phenomenal Vanessa Shark. What's up?
He does that. He does that, V.
I was like, oh, there's someone else joining with that.
It's better if they don't get prepared beforehand.
Oh, good. Thanks. All of that is false. But thank you. Hi.
And down here in the square just below, you know him, Times Man of the Year. I mean, no more needs to be said after that. International Man of Mystery. You love him, you hate him, but you always watch him, Clement Bryant.
I mean, again, like, why do you gotta lie to the people? Because the people make the channel what it is, and you can't lie to the people because the people are the people. You feel me? Do you feel me? Anyways, now, what's good, y'all? Clement coming at you again. We are going to talk about this excellent episode of Lovecraft Country, and I am jazzed. I just had a ton of cheesecake, and I'm ready. Let's do it.
Like, yeah, let's do this.
Do this. No, I'm just playing. I'm just
the very final square, Iron Man competing, All-American, basketball and football. Also, chess champion 2010, Nate Miller.
Back to back, 2010 and 2011.
Oh, excuse me.
Nate Miller here to give you the lowdown on everything that happened this episode, because this episode was like nuts. This is the one that I have been waiting for, and it was worth the wait. It was so good.
What up? So, shouts out. We got Sunshine Chick and Nate Miller. Well, Nate Miller in the chat. He always. But Boogsworthy, you were here. We were here earlier too. So we here now. So I'm gonna kick it off. Vanessa, how you feeling out of this episode? How you feeling? What's on your mind?
I mean, this is like, I was waiting for this episode. I don't know. It was so good. I don't know. Like, every line, everything about Hippolyta's story, like, it was perfect. I have zero complaints, and I rarely have zero complaints about anything. And it was perfect. The Josephine Baker stuff, monumental. The warrior stuff. I knew the warriors. I have no frame of reference for. I didn't read Lovecraft Country, so I came into this completely new. So I didn't know what to expect. But the fact that they had Hippolyta and Diana's characters, and I'm a big Wonder Woman fan, and like, so that spoke to me. Like, and then the adventures and all that, everything was perfect. Like, I cannot believe that this show exists. Like, yeah.
I was very relieved to see this episode. Very relieved. Nate, where you at? Where you at with it?
I mean, just echo everything that Vanessa said. Like, also, I mean, I would also add in that there are many scenes, and I'm not talking about the nude scenes, where I felt very aroused. And I'm not really going to elaborate more on that, but infer what you'd like. But especially with the timing, this episode, man, like, the visuals, it's like, yeah, I like to see that. It's very cathartic. That's a good word.
Oh, yeah.
For this. Like,
yes.
I was like, yes. Several times in the episode.
Yeah.
It's just so good. And like, not only, like, it's just so good. I feel bad, like, just going on and on about the show, but like that's the whole point that we're here, right?
Yeah, that's why
like
we're here.
the way the build up, and I just hate repeating myself, like the way that they develop these characters, it's just so, it's like even outside of like, yeah, you don't get to see like great representation of Black people on TV like this. You don't get to see characters like this on TV. They are all flawed. They're all human. We just saw perfect specimen, holier than thou Pop George come to the realization, and you know, to his credit for being a good guy, being able to admit it, maybe in her head, not quite sure if that's real or not, that like even someone like him diminished Hippolyta so that he could have what he wanted in life, because we live in a patriarchal society, and that's kind of like what he is raised to do. He never even considered what effect does this have on her, like to have characters that have that discussion and realization and have it come naturally as this progression in the series. Like, oh my God, it's so good. And on top of that, they nailed the visuals. My favorite comic stuff is the cosmic space-time larger than life god stuff, and like they nailed that. Traveling through dimensions, and even just the interaction with the like future human thing, and like it was so good. The whole thing was so good.
The visuals are nasty beautiful.
Clement, what's up, man? You up,
man?
What's up with this episode?
Like they already said part of what I was gonna say, but the whole her traveling through the cosmic universes, even I think they were trying to get a point of Afrofuturism across with that God about it, and I was like, oh my God, like. And I didn't expect that from the episode based off the preview, what they showed at the last week's episode. And I got to say, man, this hit me square in the heart where I wasn't expecting this show to hit me. Like I almost cried at the end of it where she was like, you know, that line about the news, like, it hit me. It hit me, and I wasn't ready for it. And I really appreciate how this show. And I know we're going to get into it, but I appreciate how the show manages to like go to extremes of extreme horror and violence. And on the other side of it, they tackle humanity so well, and emotion, and just everything, what it means to be human. It's like, it's two extremes and they balance it equally. And it's amazing. And the storytelling, I thought this was one of their best episodes. And this is up from last week's episode too. So I don't know, man, I can't say enough great things about this episode.
Like I said, I was relieved. I thought she was going to be in danger, but we got this beautiful adventure, and I was like, "Whoo!" Nobody got hurt. Well, no. a couple got chitty bang bang.
Like you said, nobody got hurt.
No one.
Vanessa and I are going to get along very well.
Nobody got hurt. But I love even that marriage stuff. I definitely want to touch on that. I don't know I know Clement isn't. Anyone else in here married?
No.
Oh, right. All right, cool. So because I do like that scene, and I think that's very interesting, but I want to jump on that later. But I just thought she was going to be in danger. I thought she might die, or maybe something bad will happen to Diana or anything. But no, everybody's cool. Everybody's fine. So I was like, yes. And then we got to go on this cool adventure through. Can I help you? Can I get something? Can I process my thoughts and feelings?
He's got it. He's got so much to say.
But time and space, a lot of fun. Costuming, makeup.
Yes.
You know, the playing around with like the math and the relativity, and then the like the little like the numbers that represented like the time and space that she was in. Just, man, this joint, HBO is kind of on a roll. I don't want to give it to them yet, but HBO is kind of on a roll.
I give it to them.
They've been on a roll for a while. Like, just to sidetrack for a moment, like even you know, I'm gonna say the dreaded Game of Thrones. Like, season 8 was not a good conclusion, but for the most part, the show was very consistent and a good production. You know, for the majority of its run.
TV,
and there's a lot of other shows that they have done, and they've also been really good at doing like smaller like smaller interest shows, I guess, that aren't like larger audience that still cater to their audience very well without like watering it down. And I think this is kind of a case of that, of where even I'm glad that the show has been very successful, but I think it also would have been very easy for this show to kind of fall more into the niche space. And
okay.
And I appreciate them, you know, either way, like especially watching this episode and the effects and how good they look. Like this is not like here's some money, go make your little show. Like no, they took their time. It had an appropriate budget. Like so I definitely give HBO their kudos. I think lately they've been doing really good.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Everything from Watchmen, Perry Mason, even Perry Mason, like the stuff that I saw, I kind of fell off a little bit because of just life, but the stuff that I saw from that show, I was like, wow, this is really good. Like, so, you know, whatever they do next, and even something like Euphoria, which I was like, I don't know if this is for me, I still got into it. And so, man, I just can't say no, like,
Euphoria is another one too. Like there's a great behind the scenes clip of them where they're shooting one of the sequences where they do like this really cool transition. And you think when you see it the first time that it's just something they do in like effects that looks really cool, but they did it actually practically. Like it's like a transition from like her bedroom to the classroom, and seeing them do that. Then when I watched the show again, like I noticed like how many of like they really outside of, you know, the heavy message and stuff, like artistically, visually, that show is incredibly stimulating. And to bring it back to Lovecraft Country, one of the notes that I had for this episode, even before everything kicked off, when Ruby is sitting in that window after they're not only does she look fantastic, but
Ruby killing him on the sneak.
I have such a crush on her. Oh my
but also like her outfit, the colors they chose, like, and everyone too, like, I don't know a better way to say it, but you can tell that black people did it. Like there's a certain colors and certain tones that look good on black skin, and to not only nail that, but then also have it be time period accurate and also, you know, visually stimulating for each frame. Like kudos to the costume
the way
director.
She put them shades back on was like, I don't give a she put them shades on, so like she took the one on herself and was like, yeah.
The way they've been building that up is really interesting. Like, and again, it's great that we got this whole epic right with Hippolyta, and before that we got 25 minutes of solid plot progression. Like from the moment the episode started, it opened up on now. So now we know the details between the William and what's her name, Christina thing. I was wrong. Well, I was kind of right, but not really.
Yeah, and the thing now is wondering where Ruby kind of stands, because we saw her sort of like sneaking around and like listening in on calls, peeping through doors and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, let's not help Christina though. But
I'm wondering
we'll see where that goes. You know, because Christina did, you know, Christina did show her a new life.
Yeah, and also too, one thing I noticed is that even though she did, when she asked her to be honest, she did like reveal a lot of things and was for the most part honest for what we know, but she did not mention Tick or Letty. So I still think that she's going to be used against them in a way where she thinks she's helping, but she doesn't realize that she's, you know, helping the bad guy or something of that nature. And also too, like this plot point now of them. Did we know that was the book that Hannah ran out with? Because I
assumed it, but I didn't know for sure.
I felt like that was the okay, cool. So I wasn't the only one, because I was like, wasn't it always that book? But them getting that realization,
like she always had that book, but we didn't know.
We didn't.
We kind of figured, but we didn't know for sure.
I mean, I feel like that's what I was insinuated, I guess. But but it's very interesting now. This new plot point of them going after the book, which would be the complete book, versus Christina going after the pages, which is not as many spells or whatever. That's really interesting.
And we don't know what them pages Christina looking for might just be citations. Like, you know, she might get an index. Yeah, she don't know what she's going
Table of context.
Spark notes.
Oh man! Oh, big shout out to the chat. We got Richard Cheney in there too. Booksworthy said, "Visually alone, this is the best episode so far." And then Richard Cheney saying, "Ruby showing some Letty style with the red." Man,
Yeah.
the way she put them shades back on was like, I don't care. She was like,
Love it.
I thought about you, Nate, while I was watching this. Montrose. Montrose.
I knew this was gonna come up.
He woke up in the morning, and I was like, you know what? Good on you, Montrose. Good on you. You know what? You're happy. You're living. You're loving. Okay. You know what? I can ride with you. Now you're just having a nice, beautiful morning. No, you're not. You're messing it up again. See, I can't even help you. Even when you do something right, then you mess around and do something wrong. I was trying to be on your side and just help you out and cheer you on. And now look at what you do. Can't make the bacon. Can't make the grits. Can't make the coffee. Can't do nothing. See, this is why you're gonna be alone. All right, Montrose, you're gonna be alone. Right,
I have no sympathy for Montrose. It's hard for me because
I actually felt good about it for a second, like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm the one here who's standing up for Montrose, even though I do think child abuse is terrible and among other things that he's done. I do think that he, just like I believe, I believe in rehabilitation over incarceration, right? So I apply that even to works of fiction. I don't think that he's beyond redemption. That being said, I don't agree with him. I'm not voting for him. I'm not rooting for him right now. I want that for him, but I can understand why, especially after the last time we saw him, that like this change can still like you're kind of thinking like, all right, cool, he's changing, but he's still not really changing. This is just part of his cycle, right? And so what we're seeing is this cycle, and that's why it's important that the guy he's with says like, this is not the first time this has happened. Like, it's the first time he slept over, but it's not the first time that things were going good with them. And Montrose sabotaged it because, again, it's that self-hatred, right? It's like he doesn't feel comfortable with himself because he hates himself because he's gay. And he takes that anger out on other people. If it's not his son, it's the guy that he's seeing, right? So
or just like random innocent people that he murders.
Well, I mean, she's an undead.
Doesn't matter.
It's weird. It's like,
well, it's not. But it's not a random. It's not a random person. It's not a
person.
I mean, that's.
I know.
I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying.
I know a lot of men like Montrose.
Killing random people on the street is not the same.
No, I'm not. I didn't say it was the same. I'm saying he's still a murderer, and my limit to.
I agree with you.
To giving people second, third chances is limited to you never showing that you're going to change. Like he doesn't. Right. He's not shown a single iota that he's going to change. He always goes back to his baser instincts of being a bad person.
I disagree. I think. I mean, I could definitely see that point of view, but at least the note from what I have taken from the show is they are trying to show us that even though he is repeating the cycle, he is making small steps to progress, and there still needs to be some type of catalyst, probably like a rock bottom or something of that nature, for him to actually change. But
why is it always necessary for men for characters like that to have to do? Why does redemption need to be at the expense of so many other people? Why? Like, I'm tired of seeing that. We see that so many times in media.
I think,
We also see Tick murder an innocent.
Yeah,
woman.
I actually have more of I think Tick has more aptitude for change than his father. The older you get, the lesser aptitude you have for change. That's just how it is. Like, I literally know men like Montrose. I know them. Like, they don't change. They do make steps to go in certain directions to appease whoever's around them. But at the end of the day, they go back to their baser instincts because they have no motivation to really change. Where's his motivation to actually change? If the show actually presents that, I'm kind of open to it, but I'd rather not waste time trying to redeem someone who has not shown much effort to be redeemed. I don't know. I'm not really giving. It's not giving me much.
Let me present something. I was just gonna say,
my brother.
I was just gonna say, I think also that moment between what you guys are talking about in that moment that Tick finds out that his father is gay is also hitting on a wide range of toxic masculinity, from him calling his father the F word and then being like, I am still your father, don't call me out of my name. And also the reverse of it, Montrose acting out towards Sammy the way he did, and also now you kind of see the lens about why he beat Tick so much when he was younger. It's all covering different facets of toxic masculinity, which I think what you're both hitting on. And that's why you guys are still having. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say that I agree with you in that I don't think that we have seen him chasing that redemption, and I don't think I'm not saying that I don't think that's what they're trying to show us. I'm saying redemption in terms of thinking in like literary terms, and like they're laying the groundwork for something like that to happen in the end. I don't think that we have seen that. In fact, what I think we have seen is exactly what you're talking about, is that cycle of person who, I think it's a realistic portrayal of that type of person who does repeat the cycle of abuse constantly. And I think that's what we're seeing. So I can totally understand why you would not want redemption for him, because from what we've seen in the show, there's nothing to show that he, just like you said, like he sees what he's doing wrong and he's looking to change it. But I do think what Clement says also is very important, like them putting that on display, and even in the way that Tick approaches the situation when he immediately sees it, right? And he's angry and he's emotional, so he just throws the F word at his dad because, of other toxic masculinity things. But when he's downstairs and he's processing it, that's like when he says it, like that's really what's messed up, is now that he's starting to understand his father.
And you hit that point. You actually said it right there. I think that Tick has the aptitude for change right there. He processed it. He said something really awful to his dad, and then in past episodes we would see him rage, beat, throwing, like we've seen him erupt in rage, and he did. He kicked something, and then he was just like that. To me, like we've seen the groundwork for Tick's change. So I think it parallels, maybe the show's doing this on purpose, parallels his dad's own thing. So I think you answered the question that you asked me. Like, yeah, I do think Tick is capable of being a different person because of what we just saw.
Right. My only thing is you're of course you're welcome to have your own opinion. I don't see the Montrose's murder as equal to Tick's murder, especially since knowing he was in the military and in the Korean War, he probably killed a bunch of other actual.
I never compared the two murders. Oh, I never compared those.
Okay, well,
I just said I said Montrose is a murderer. That's like period. He's a murderer.
Okay, never mind. It's semantics. It's not really that important.
What? I know.
You said random person on the street, and I think a random person on the street.
He killed a random person that I didn't say random person on the street. They just picked up a random person and he murdered him. Like he did a random person that he killed. That was a random person in the story that he killed.
Are you talking about Yahima?
I just think that's removing a lot. Yeah, I think that's removing a lot of context from
the
situation.
That's your opinion, I guess. What it is for me is he murdered someone, period. Like he did.
Wait, are you?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, bro.
All right. So when they're walking up, when Tick and Letty are walking up, you see him coming out, and in that one moment you hear Montrose, does he wait please, or I'm sorry, or something like that. So it seemed like maybe for a smidge, Montrose was trying to see Sammy's side, maybe, but it's like, Montrose, look, I'm trying. So anyway, with the whole thing with Tick, in that moment, I wonder if Tick really cared, or if he said that to try to hurt his father, because he knows that's something that his father is ashamed of. Because when old boy brings it up in in Boston, he's just like, whatever. But he doesn't seem as angry. But then when he sees it in the hallway, it's so I was going back and forth, and let me know, do you think he said that more because he was like shocked? Because he said, so it is true. So I guess it had always been on his mind, maybe. But when old boy in Boston brings it up, he's like, so what? He doesn't say so what, but it's the attitude is more like, I don't care kind of thing. But then here he kind of goes for the gut with the F word. So I wonder if that was more to like, this is another opportunity for me to hurt you because you've been hurting me since I was 3-4 years old, whatever? Or is it something that like is part of him? I guess, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe I'm not communicating it right.
I think the way I interpret it, and tell me if I'm wrong, and maybe my interpretation is wrong. When was it? I forget what his name was when in Boston, but like the way he interpreted when he told that to when Chick's reaction was like, "Oh yeah, you're making stuff up. I don't really know you that well. You're probably making stuff up." That's the way I interpret it. It's more about like
Tiffany
denial.
Littles does say that she doesn't think he believed the guy. So okay.
Yeah, and so I don't think he was giving into belief because we kind of saw how this guy was. He just invited himself on a trip out of nowhere. So, you know what I mean?
He
so
sure did.
Why would he believe him? So, but this, and also I didn't think that he said the F word to hurt his father. It's because, and you know, and Jonathan Majors is so good on, you see the emotion on his face as he's interpreting the data that's in front of him. That he sees Sammy with Montrose, they're holding hands or wrist or whatever. And he's going through the motions, and he's like, a lot of that anger is coming from that too, and also they all that anger is coming from how much he beat him, but also the fact of did his mother.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's gonna come up. That and the first thing he says is, outside of the F word, is did Mama know?
We getting a lot closer.
He's
to that
going through all.
We getting a lot closer to Uncle George is your dad.
Yes, I know.
He need to go in and
and also that probably anger is probably being like, okay, there's got to be a slight question in Tick's mind is, are you really my father?
Yeah,
because I'm knowing
that
if that were my dad, I would be thinking about that, like what happened before I was born. What happened to all the stuff? What's the history? And the fact that Tick does not know anything about his mother's side of the family is also part of his reaction to his father finding out that his father's gay. So that's the way I interpret it. But tell me if I'm wrong, though. You know,
Nate,
what do y'all think?
Up?
Yeah. Go ahead. No, I honestly, like, I think your guys' interpretations are pretty. That's a lot deeper than I was thinking. I was like, he's mad.
I told y'all this episode.
No, I think that's actually a great interpretation. I didn't think about it like that, but yeah.
The only thing I would say I disagree with is I do think that he said it with intent to hurt him. And the reason why I think that is because when he gets back downstairs and he's talking to Letty about it, he almost says it again, but he stops himself, which to me says he knows it's like wrong. And I feel like if he was just being like he's just a bigot and that's what he refers to them as, I feel like he would have just let it fly.
Kept saying, yeah.
Right. And I don't like, it's just, this is my one other tiny complaint is that like, that is a lot to process in a short amount of time. I know it's a TV show and I know you have a whole other cosmic journey to go on in this episode. But to, his credit, he played that very, very well. That was an incredible performance.
You talking about Jonathan Majors?
Yeah, Jonathan Majors. Yeah, seeing him like
huge
talk to Letty about like all that time, I thought he was angry at me.
Yeah.
That's
talk about.
powerful.
I don't want you to be soft in this and the third, and it, as like I said before, because watching this is it's interesting to me at times because as someone who has definitely been in a similar relationship with his father, where, you have to, you endure things while you're a child, painful things. And then being like, okay, then reconnecting with that same man later on in adulthood, and then realizing like, oh, you're an angry person. You were always angry because of whatever. And then you start to think about like, well, how bad was his dad?
Yeah.
And
right.
So then it's like, so seeing this and seeing Tick like having that rage in there and saying he found that anger in the war and all this stuff, and then seeing how it comes out in these crazy spurts, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. And then kind of, that's why I was like, I wonder if he said that just because it was another way to like dig at his father, because that, you know, that kind of hate is still there. Because I mean, just recently, even though you're like, okay, we're kind of past the childhood stuff, at least it's over and we can sort of let it go. Uncle George died, then Yahima, and now this. And so it's like every time something happens, I want to make sure that I kick him when he's down, sort of thing.
I get where you're going.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I was wondering how that played, or how you guys saw that.
Yeah, and I just want to say I'm not excusing what Tick said at his father by any means necessary,
no.
just by, I just want to make that clear. But like, man, like, just like, and I'll say this and then I'll shut up for a minute, but like, when he was reacting to it, you saw him go from confusion to like just the span of him going in emotions. Like, this cat has to be up for some awards next year. Jonathan Majors he is bringing it every episode, and I
nobody whack on this
everything
show
that he's in.
Right?
No. They're like, they're just like,
the casting is
brings
incredible.
it, yeah, it's so good. But okay, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox.
I want to say, like, I imagine that you all have had a similar experience, those of you that have relationship with your parents, where like when you become an adult, you get to know them, and then you know them as a person, and then you realize this idea that you have when you're younger of your parents, of teachers, or they're like these larger than life figures, it kind of goes away, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. You know, you were just trying to figure it out too, right? Like, you see them as a person, and then you have this idea of who they are. So I would imagine that Tick goes through this when he's an adult, comes back from the war, whatever. So he thinks he knows his dad, right? He's had that whole image completely shattered in a moment. And so that's what he's processing is, I thought I knew why you were angry. I thought I knew why you were a loser, why you beat me, why you're an alcoholic, right? And he's seeing now that he didn't really know. And that's why he talks about his mom, because like then he's like, well, wait a minute. What about my childhood? What about mom? What about, like, did mom know? Like, did she know this like completely earth-shattering secret? Like, so just again, like, the writing on this show, man, just to create a character as flawed as like creating a character as flawed as Montrose is, to make this situation, which allows us to have these types of discussions, right? That's great. Like 1000%. That's art right there. It's just so good.
I'm crying right now just thinking about that scene, man. It's just so
that was
so
tough
good,
because man. Like Mosley said that might have been the first time Tick ever saw Montrose emotionally vulnerable. Because because all he got from him was aggression all the time. So that could have been an interesting way to kind of see him at that moment. But this episode, gotta give it to your girl, Hippolyta. Yo,
man, Aunjanue Ellis, man,
so good.
Because they set this up like she was going to be in danger.
Can we time out really quick? Can we just really briefly talk about Ruby and Christina before we dip into all the Hippolyta stuff?
I was going to say them, but that's cool.
Just
bloody Christina.
Relatively short. So I have a friend, Carrie D. Lane, who I know from AfterBuzz, who we were actually messaging. We were talking. She actually had asked me last week, like after the last week's episode, like what I thought about the William Christina thing, and she had a theory that because the spells kind of look like blood, that she was like keeping the bodies in that room, with the locked door, and lo and behold, that's actually what's happening. Like that. It makes a ton of sense from what we've already seen, right? And especially knowing that we already saw that one lady, and then seeing that that's the body that Ruby takes, like putting those clues together, like again, like very, very well placed breadcrumbs. But her talking about like William's thing being real, and he was a real person, and that story part is real. I think that's really interesting. I know we touched a little bit on like Ruby kind of being the other agent, but like, what did you guys think of that reveal and scene and stuff?
I thought it was excellent, and you have this weird sort of maybe relationship, because Christina was like, all the words were from me, and now she kind of spent tons of time with Christina without knowing it, but that also presents an issue where Ruby could look at Christina and say, our whole relationship is built on deceit. So I am interested to see where this goes and how much she helps her.
I kind of got those vibes too.
Yeah, I think she's more. Sorry.
Go ahead, B. No, go ahead.
I think Ruby's gonna, at the end of the day, be in it for herself. Like, she's gonna figure out what's going on, and I think she's gonna want the power that comes with it. I don't think she's gonna willingly want to help Christina go, take or do whatever she's got to do. That's gonna eventually butt heads with Tick and Letty, but I do think she's gonna try to figure out how to make this work for herself. As someone who identifies as bisexual, like, I'm very interested to see where they go with the Ruby Christina William thing. I'm not condoning it or supporting, because there's technically a white supremacist. I don't support that, but I am curious what Ruby's thinking in terms of, like, because she did bring up, like, that they banged while, and so I really do want to see what her thought process is about that, because she wasn't like grossed out or anything. She was just mad that she was lied to. So I'm curious about her thinking on that.
And honestly, V, I think you're on
bring
point.
That William back.
We see the preview for next episode. I don't want to get it.
She's looking at the body on the slab, like, so he's dead.
So is he dead?
Sorry.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. Damn, y'all now lost my train of thought.
The line is at necrophilia. I got it.
Listen, it's HBO. I mean,
but see, remember, he's not dead. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God.
Because you know what I'm saying? You know how he came through, like Birdman.
Okay.
I had a really good thing to say. We just completely threw him off track.
Yeah, you.
I'm so
sorry. B. These two right here, they're dangerous. Okay, they're dangerous. Okay, but no. Anyway,
chaotic energy.
Anyways, all I was gonna say is, in the next episode, we see Ruby take a swig of that potion again. So I think you're really right on the right track, B. But also, one thing about, like, I was surprised that Ruby didn't straight up walk out on Christina when she found out all that, because any same black person would have been like, "Yo, I'm out. I wash my hands of this. I don't want to be in this situation." And she drank the potion.
She drank.
And she's had a little bit of that power too.
Yo, why we have the Waco reference? But like, all I'm saying is, like,
I mean, she literally drank the liquid.
I mean, she literally did. Like on some Alice and Max stuff. But like, all I'm saying is, like, when Christina says, "Yo, hold on, let me explain," I would have been out. Even if I tried to push, I would have been out, because I'm like, okay, you just have me ingest someone's blood? Nah, man, I'm out. Bye. Like,
but
done.
Magic.
I'm done.
Yeah, she got. It's tempting.
I mean, she drank the Kool-Aid, but like, she just turned around, and now I think she's gonna try to figure out. And honestly, even though that we kind of see in this episode some parts of Ruby and Letty actually getting along, I think it's gonna be like self-hating black man, self-hating black person, where the whole opposite end, where it's like Christina and Ruby on one side, it's Tick, Letty, and I know how we feel, Montrose on the other.
That'd be an interesting way to end this season.
And honestly, knowing how Montrose has been trying to protect Tick and Letty from this whole thing, he might switch sides. So all I'm saying, I'm putting something out there, but think about it.
You heard it here first, y'all. Time Man of the Year. Put the gauntlet down. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, gauntlet. Where's my Infinity Gauntlet? Where's my Infinity Gauntlet? Because if I'm wrong, I could just change reality. But, you know.
Speaking of changing reality, we got Afrofuturist, super tall black women walking around with ill afros. You know what I'm saying? At first, you like, hold up, you gonna kill me? Then it's like, oh, word, you gonna let me time travel though? I ain't gonna front. I was so worried for Hippolyta, man. I was
too.
When those robots walked towards her, I was just like, here we go. I was prepared. I was mentally already. I was like, okay, all right. If she got to go, she just got to go. And then they were like, come with us. And I was like, okay, cool. All right, word, no problem. So, how are you guys feeling about the I guess the considerable change that we get from the woman that walks into the observatory to the woman that comes back, or I guess the person that comes back, because we don't. Is it safe to say she's still the same Hippolyta? I mean, she did go through a lot of. Are we sure we looking at the same woman? That's another thing.
We
physically. Go ahead, Nate.
I was just gonna say we don't know. We haven't seen. We don't see her return, right?
Yeah. So
we just see her choose to return. I would imagine she's not, but.
All right, because I'm wondering if she's going to be able to do this after this episode. Like, if she's still going to have to arm things or not. I'm wondering.
When Big Afro Lady, that's what I'll call her for right now. On another note, I interpreted was that God? Was that the show's reputation of God? She's like, look, if you go that, I think she was basically trying to tell Hippolyta that if you go back through the portal, you're going to be the same woman. But if you stay in this universe, you're going to be different. You're going to be changed. And the only reason why Hippolyta goes back is because of her daughter, which is interesting, which is what leads into the next episode. So go ahead.
My interpretation of the whole thing, which could be totally wrong, was that she was traveling through time and space, right? So she was not only was she traveling time, but she was also traveling through different dimensions. But she was always on Earth, right? And that's why in that scene where she's talking about herself, about the change in gravity, about she's trying to figure out like where could I be in the galaxy, and then she remembers that theory about how after a certain amount of time on Earth passing, the gravity itself would shift over time, right? And she's talking about how like it's almost implausible for there to be another planet that could sustain life, because remember when she lands there, she's no helmet, nothing like that, right? She can just breathe. So the inference I got is that is just a super duper far future Earth. That what we saw is the like evolved God state of humanity, right? Where we are all gods and we can all kind of use this transcendent power, whether it comes from a building or like just a brain unlocking or something, I don't know, but something that they have. Those things were a way for her to kind of like ease her way into that thought process or something like that. That was what I got. So I assumed that the Big Afro Lady was just like a like not God, but like a god, just like they were offering her to be like, come be a god with us. You can travel, you can be you can self-manifest to whatever you want to be, right? And that is like the ultimate kind of evolution of humanity. That's kind of what I got from that scene. I could be totally wrong, but that's what it seemed like to me.
Deep.
And especially given the context, like a group like these sons of Adam or whatever, like they would want it wouldn't be about like going to another planet as much as like they want to go back to Eden, right? Or like to whatever, to like get power. So to me, that's kind of I that's how I read it. Who knows though.
That's deep, Nate. That's really deep.
All right, Nate. You know what? I like that.
I just feel like that's it. It's kind of, I feel like they did a very good job. I mean, this whole show has been a bunch of like, pay attention to the details and the Easter eggs because they will fill in the blank for you. They're not going to spoon feed it to you. And especially they made a point this episode. Not only is Hippolyta a badass, she is damn near a genius. Okay, she has her full-on beautiful mind moment where she's doing the equations down, and you're seeing all the equations fly by. Like her, even taking it back to the beginning of the episode where she works out, like, oh, duh, the planets rotate on an axis, so you have to rotate the axis, and that's how you unlock the thing. Like, as a sci-fi nerd, this episode is just it's so cool because being able to like take established theory and law and even like relative hypotheses and then like extrapolate from them to have this sci-fi stuff that is somewhat based in reality. Like obviously it's not real, but the science, for the most part checks out. Like there's not a lot of like hand wavy, like, oh no, it just works. Like, no, theoretically that would work. It would make sense. So even just the way the design of like the time machine and stuff in the observatory, that was so cool. I felt like I was like a 10-year-old watching some 90s movie, like made for TV movie on the Sci-Fi Channel or something. Like it was just it was so good. It looked perfect.
V, what did you think?
All right, V?
Can you guys hear? I feel like I'm delayed. Am I good?
Yeah, you good.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. I agree. I think that the big Afro lady was an evolution of some sort. I absolutely agree. And you mentioned this earlier, Afrofuturism. Oh, you guys, oh my God. One of my favorite books of all time is The Ear, the Eye, and the Arm, which is like set in like Africa in like 2058 or whatever. I can't remember the exact year, but it's like, that is my favorite type of genre is what can we do when the limits are taken off? What can Black people do when the limits are taken off? And this episode gave me that. Like, what could she do? She literally pushed herself to the limit, and they gave her that opportunity to do that. And like, as a Black woman, like I want that so bad. Like, it was so cathartic watching her get to do that. I loved it. That scene with and that was absolutely my type.
Where I wanted to.
It's beautiful.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the moment with George for a second. I thought that was interesting because it's two people that clearly love each other, decide to live their life together, create a life together, but still found ways to leave things unsaid.
Yeah.
And as someone who's married, if someone is in the dating phase or the courting phase or whatever, please remember to continue to talk about your aspirations, your dreams, because things will change. Like, say you get, you're 30 and your dreams are this. And when you're like 34, your dreams will be this. And maybe when you're 39, your dreams will be that. And you have to continue to talk to each other, because he said when he met her, like, did he say she was inquisitive or adventurous?
She was curious,
curious. And like, he always knew that, but he kind of just fell into like, well, she didn't really say anything, and I didn't really. But if she would have said something, that would have forced him to have to respond in some way, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? And you have to continually say like, hey, what are we going to do? Like, because you are a team, you and your mate.
Like, communication is important.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like, what are we doing? What do you want to do? Whether it's, do we want to move? Do we want to start a business? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to do this or that? Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to, whatever it is, make sure that you continue to talk, because it seemed like two people kind of left so many things unsaid that now she felt small in her own home. And you don't want, as I can only speak, I'm heterosexual male, so I can only speak it this way. You don't want to make your woman feel small in her house, in her own home. This her place of peace. This is the only, ain't nowhere else she can go. You know what I'm saying?
And I mean, on that note, I'll say you
don't want to have that relationship.
My bad, Mike. I didn't mean to interrupt.
You good, go.
No, I was gonna say, but even if you're not married, but if you're in, like, me and my girlfriend, we've been together for we'll be together 4 years in January, and we're having these kind of conversations now. So I think this episode, which is why it hit me so hard, it hit me on so many levels that even I, like, as far as my girlfriend, I treat her like the sun and the moon, because on some level, I could still be a single man, I could still be a mess, and I attribute everything that I am, most of everything that I am now, to her. You know what I mean? So it hit me on so many levels, but that conversation that I had, I gotta say, the performances though, the nuance when George realized, he's like, well, baby, I'm sorry, I didn't really know. And he's like, no, actually I knew. When he stops, that moment. And I think if you're a man and you're dating, if you're dating woman, man, whatever, that moment you have to really pay attention to very specifically, and kind of just put your phone down, put laptop down, and just zero in on it, because the show is trying to tell you something. I cried at that whole scene, man. The performance is like, I really hope they get some Emmys next year. I'm sorry if I'm just spouting you know, but like I just
And that's how good the show is, because
I'm
we
still
can
trying to
fall
process
back
it.
on like they're great actors.
I'm still trying to process it.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to process it, you know.
The one thing I want to say about that scene, I definitely agree with you. You know, 100% communication is important. And I think the larger themes, though, and I think part of what they were trying to touch on is like it's larger than the scope of blame, right? For lack of a better word, of you didn't tell me or you didn't share. It's because she says it herself. She had been making herself smaller way before she met George.
Yeah.
So this is not about a relationship and a lack of communication. Like that's part of it, but the larger theme, like what they're, at least what I got from this, what they're trying to get at, it's like it's the patriarchy, right? You know, like it's this larger system. It's this way that we think in the world that we inflict onto ourselves, as like we let the world tell us what we are or what we have to be in order to fit in, right? So it's not, that's again, like that's I think why George is able to say, no, I did know, because these things that we're taught, and we're like it's not natural, it's part of our society, it's ingrained in our society, and so it becomes like commonplace culture and thought. But we still, there's part of us that is aware of it, and we make the conscious effort to, you know, fall in line, right? And because that's just the way it is, that's the way things go, that's what you have to do to survive. And especially when you extrapolate that back to this time, for these African Americans, they are not just, you know, getting by, they're getting by in a white man's world, you know, even more so than now, right? So they're, if they want to be successful, if they want to have jobs, they got to act a certain way, they got to talk a certain way, they got to look a certain way, right? So this whole episode, like that's why it's called I Am. It's about self-actualization, and the sci-fi time travel thing, you know, flowing through time, meeting different people, finding out yourself, like that's just a really fancy metaphorical way of showing that, like the ultimate who am I self-actualization. And this is just a great way of illustrating that, especially specifically within the context of our own lives. Like this is the reality that we live in. You can be as nice and as listening and then comforting and supporting to your wife as you want to be, but we live in a patriarchal, a male dominated society that she brings in preconceived notions about how she has to look, how she has to talk, how much money she has to make, what she has to do, kids. And you can't support someone out of that. Like you can educate yourself, you can grow together, right? Of course you can be in a healthy relationship, but you can't put on yourself the burden of like trying to fix all these problems that are larger than us itself.
I see where you're going. I definitely see, because
not to say that that's what you were saying, but I think the show is trying
but
to,
I get you, like on that side, like even if someone was like, hey, I see you're curious, I see you're adventurous, you should do something adventurous. If that person's mind is still locked in like, I have to be like this and 1 and 2 and 3, they still won't do it. Like, you know, so you could be as, I don't know, not comforting, but like nurturing as you want it to be.
No, comfort is perfect, because that's exactly what I was going to say. This is one of those cases where you can harm someone by being comforting.
Yeah.
He helped her in minimizing herself by being comfortable, by being there to help her create this family and give her, you know, a purpose, more or less, or what she felt like needed to be her purpose. Like, I need to just be this small woman who supports my husband and has a family. Like, I can't be this curious genius, you know, person that she really is, because she looks out in the world and she sees like that's not a viable option, right? So I have to make myself smaller. So he's not necessarily like, oh yes, let me make you smaller. He's like, yes, like let's have a family, I love you, let's, you know, be together, you can support me and my thing that I'm doing, because that's what women did back then, not because they had to, but because that's what the culture pushed them into. So yeah, like great commentary on how even loving and, you know, intent does not always correlate to, you know, results.
Right. It's enabling too, a little bit. Like you're not, and you may not be aware of it. And I think that was important tying. I completely agree with you. I think it's tying into her. We saw it too. Like Diana pushed her to name herself. Like she said, I named that comet. And because she's so made herself so small, she wouldn't even like told that to her daughter, and her daughter told it to the world. Like,
I forgot about that scene.
Like that, like she raised a warrior, and like
and then she has that scene with Joe where she's talking about I feel like a star.
Exactly. Like
oh my God,
it all connects. Dude. Like it all connects. Like it all connects to the celestial. I know. The details are fucking beautiful. Like, sorry, are beautiful. Like this has been a thread for Hippolyta. Like the entire show, the entire scene has been this. Like she's made herself small. She named a comet, and they erased her. So her saying I'm Hippolyta in space, like that was good, right? This show's fantastic.
Okay, V is the MVP of this podcast episode, okay?
Man. Nate, you came with it. Hey guys, look, with that said, we have exorcised most of the demons.
Wait, we don't already?
Well, I mean, I know we had time. I mean, I don't want to hold you guys. I mean, you know,
I know, but
I want to hold y'all. But we will. Hey, look, next week.
If you guys still want me back, I'll come back.
Yeah, please.
I don't know, man.
Me and Nate are like,
I'm looking at the clipboard. I don't know.
No, I appreciate it, having someone to go back and forth with, because these guys are too scared. I say something, they disagree with me, and they're like, "Oh, okay, Nate, whatever you say."
Boy,
that's what happens.
What? They're gonna fight.
Wow, Nate's coming with the hollow.
Anyways,
man.
Before we go, I want to touch on two things real quick. Black Amazon warriors against an army of Confederate soldiers.
Yeah, that was dope.
If you could just loop that on repeat and just put it on my ceiling, I will just watch it forever.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
Also, is Letty
and look
pregnant?
at how outnumbered they were.
Yeah, Letty pregnant. What?
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yo, that whole. Okay, no, I gotta shout out Jenna James in the chat. Jenna James, I'm trying to find it in the chat. She said maybe she's having the same dream as Tick because now she has his blood in her due to the possible pregnancy, and that was something I was like, ooh, wait, I didn't think about that.
I don't think that's how pregnancy works.
It doesn't work, but you know what she's saying though. But you get what she's saying.
Magic,
son.
And also magic. And also magic might be flowing through Tick's
but female anatomy, it just doesn't. That's not how it works.
Nate, can you just go with the brother real quick? Can you just go with the brother real quick?
This magic school, that's what's happening.
and the other thing is, we have no idea what Tick's. We don't know what his mother's side, Tick's mother's side. We have no idea. She could be a demon for all we know. Like, probably not. I'm just saying. So we have no idea. So the fact of that his family has magic running through him, running through a family line, like maybe that's why she's having the same dream.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Christina say to Ruby that like you have magic in your family?
Yes, I think she did say something like that.
She says that right at the end, coming together.
Yeah. So Letty might have her own magic family bloodline thing going on.
It comes through their mom too.
This could have been,
coming together like this, son.
The birthmark.
Yeah, I think they have the same mom, but different dads.
Yeah, same mom, different dads. Yeah. So matrilineal magic. Love that.
The birthmark thing was weird too. I didn't get that.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say that.
We'll see.
I need to watch it again, but they looked very different and they were in different spots.
I know. I was like, dun dun dun. What?
Maybe just as long as it's on your body, it's all good. You know, you got the magic line or something.
You got the touch.
You got the touch.
We have exorcised the demons. Apparently, the guys over here are too scared to deal with.
Oh, I see him, man.
The weightlifting champion of 2017. But
I'll fight him.
Before we get out of here.
What?
Oh boy!
No.
I try to present arguments and give people the space to have their own arguments.
Joke. Don't be baby. Come on.
Apparently.
Come on, my guy.
See how they do me? You see this?
Aww.
Nah. All right. In the square right here. You know what? You love her. She's super duper cool. Vanessa Shark, what's up?
Hi. What are we signing off?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm Vanessa Shark. Yeah, I'm on Twitter, I guess. You can find me on Twitter. Literally, Vanessa Shark everywhere.
Twitter. She's just like, I'm on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter.
Look, find her, follow her, all that stuff, and then, just come back here next week for some more craziness. All right, in the diagonal square, F1 racing superstar, Nate Miller.
Yes. Fresh off the track from Italy. I flew straight home to be here for the show because I love Lovecraft Country. And if you love Lovecraft Country, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, okay? Hit the subscribe and the little bell for the notification. And if you want to find me and tell me how annoying my plugs are, you can find me at Dog Like Nate. It's dog with 2 G's.
All right. Final square, you know him. Archer, gentleman, marksman. And
wait, am I Oliver Queen?
I was
also the Oliver Queen.
I was going to end with, he is the one that tells you that you have failed this city. You know him and you love him, Clement Bryant.
Yo, we were right there. Wait, can I just do my best impression real quick? You have failed the city. Oh my god. Anyways, man, I love these people so much, y'all. You guys got to give these guys a follow. At Twitter and Instagram at Clement Bryant. Follow me. We'll talk comics, fitness, marketing, PR, anything under the sun. And then, like Nate said, subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, and we will see you for the final 3 episodes of Lovecraft Country. That was the other thing I had to say. 3 episodes left. So thanks for watching, y'all.
Y'all know the deal, yo.
Thanks for having me.
Man, that show was so good when he killed people. Man. Dang.
You have failed the city. Okay, I tried it again.
You have failed. Pow, dead.
You have failed this city.
Yo, man, when Queen was dropping bodies, son, the streets ran red.
Batman light.
Wow.
Anyway, NERD, SOUL, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube is the hub. Hit a thumbs up if you like what you're seeing. Hit a thumbs down if you don't. But if you don't, we're just going to throw you through a random portal. You don't know where you're going to end up. We don't know where that cop is, all right? We don't know what happened. Tick was just like,
yo, the comic book. Wait, the comic book.
Threw him like a trash bag into the dumpster. Like,
bro.
This comic book, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do any
I was like, yo,
predictions.
Tick, grab the comic book. Grab the comic book. And he left the comic book in under his body, man. So I'm upset.
Cop's going to interrogate Diana. Wonder Woman.
But did you see the book that he was holding?
Yeah,
Lovecraft
Country.
Written by George Freeman?
Prime. Yeah, where the hell did that come
from?
from?
I didn't see that.
Is he on it?
Yes.
Is he's in another dimension?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Multiverse, I love it.
Oh, yeah. So, of course, podcast
we
to get your listen on, as always. Spotify to get that music. Of course, we thank y'all for coming through. And to the chat, we got Jenna James, Boogs Worthy, Kibi23. Early on, we had Sunshine Chick. Alan Lewis was earlier. I might be confusing that. But we got Tiffany Little, Mostly Mosley, Richard Cheney. And I think I got everybody. If I missed you, look, it ain't my fault. It ain't on purpose. I ain't just, look, we got love for y'all. So from us to you, thanks for chilling. And until next time, Arcatron on your beats. Get that space bridge and peace.
Later, y'all.
Bye, guys.
We out of
Happy
here.
Sunday.
Y'all be good. Word.